Welcome back, y'all. It is the Drunk Capitalist here today, and I got some stock news for you guys. So recently, news broke that Nike is thinking of pulling their stock from FOOTLOCKER, and I want to get into the details of that situation and also really get into why this is a big deal and why people should start paying attention to the type of business you own and how you go about actually doing business, and all the maneuvers that all these really large companies are really making that are affecting smaller ones. And let's just get right into it. So here we have CNN Business. Foot Locker's stock tumbles 35% because Nike wants to go on its own. So this is a big deal. Foot Locker stock tumbled 35% Friday after the shoe store's predicted sales and profit would fall sharply this year. The retailer, which didn't explicitly mention Nike in its earnings report, said Friday that no single supplier is expected to account for more than about 60% of its total purchases for fiscal 2022. Nike accounted for 75% of the sales in 2020, according to Foot Locker's most recent annual report. Here's the thing. This is what I want to get into and discuss with you guys, because a lot of business operate like this, where they rely on the sales of another business's products, right? And when you do that, it's understood generally that if you allow a certain business's products to be your bread and butter, you are essentially just a middleman. For years, Foot Locker has primarily sold Nikes. I don't think they did it on purpose, but Nike is the biggest shoe retailer in the world. They make the most shoes. They sell the most shoes. As a brand, they are huge, and for Nike to be 75% of their sales, if Nike pulls their shoes out, that leaves Foot Locker in a tough spot. A lot of companies end up operating like this, and it leaves them in a tough spot. Something like GameStop, for example, where they rely on selling games and consoles made by other companies such as Microsoft and Sony, and then selling games made by companies such as Activision and so on and so forth. When those companies say, hey, you know what, we're just going to do DLC, we're going to do downloadable content straight to the console, where does that leave GameStop? They're the middleman. Where are they going? It's the Blockbuster curse that's happening, where it's why bother selling it to you physically in a physical store at wholesale for you to sell to our customers, when our customers want our product. They don't necessarily need you when we could deliver it. Nike doesn't need to necessarily anymore have to worry about transporting all these goods to all their retailers, when they can simply just sell things online in the sneakers app and do their drops in the sneakers app, not have to worry about sending things to all these different countries and sending things when they could just send individual packages. You know what I'm saying? So it takes out that middleman, and now they don't have to sell things at wholesale, and they could double up on their profits. You understand what I'm saying? So I see Nike doing that. Nike has also pivoted in the past couple years of the type of clothing that they've been making. Originally, Nike was very much athletic wear, and they kind of moved into athleisure, I want to say around 2015. And then now we see that they're going straight to luxury branding. They're doing all types of different clothing branding instead of just athletic wear. I just saw it on Nike just the other day. I saw on Nike a fur coat. Nike is not playing any games. Let's actually take a look real quick at what Nike's up to, as far as look at this. So it still has that sporty aesthetic to it, but this is not something you would have seen. This type of jacket right here is not something you would have seen on a Nike release 5 years ago. You just wouldn't have seen it. 2 years ago, you wouldn't have seen it. Oh, this blazer looking real cool, actually. It kind of looks like a Virgil blazer, but Nike is known for, Adidas too. They're very much known for when they do collabs that hit off, they'll make a shaky one. This is also a very interesting thing as well. Nike doing getting into the Bitmoji game. They've been in the Bitmoji game for a minute. Bitmoji, you know, is owned by Snapchat, and they've been doing like virtual clothing for your virtual characters and avatars and stuff. So you're starting to get a sense of where these things are going, right? You know, Nike also recently bought a company that makes digital sneakers, and they're gonna do that for their NFTs. Like we should all know where this is going. Nike is thinking of taking over, like, seriously. I mean, they already own the things, but they're always pivoting. They're always actually innovating their company, and they're not being shy about it. They're not playing footsies. They're not playing around with it. They're not doing it under anyone's watch. They're doing it for real. Let's see some clothing. Let's look at some jackets. Oh yeah. So like, this is not necessarily all the things. Like, look at this camo jacket here. It's not usually what you would see at a Nike retailer. This right here with the fur on it, you know. Of course, it's the Olympic season, so you got some Olympic gear. They drop every year. You know, this is just the men's, some usual things. But this is more what you will find from like a streetwear or design type company. And Nike is getting in on that side of the game. They're like, we don't only have to sell athletic wear. People wear our clothing for everything. So why bother selling it why bother just selling that? Look, the girl has a blazer on. You know, they're selling regular leggings, all types of stuff. The usuals here. Then you got this, like, you know, Chanel jacket. You got some cool stuff. They got a fur puffer for women. Like, they're really getting into more streetwear things and getting real designery. Like, that's probably not a word, but you get what I'm saying. But like I said, what this means for Foot Locker is that they're also going to pivot. And one thing I hate seeing, to be honest, with companies when they do things like this, where they rely so heavily on another company's product, is that they never take the time to be like, hey, why don't we make our own things? Why don't we make Foot Locker brand shoes? Like, why don't we make Foot Locker something? Like, companies like this, like GameStop, Blockbuster, they never really seem to start smelling the roses early and getting a sense of, okay, how do we make our business gain profits in places other than other people's products? And that usually ends up hurting them in the long run, because once that company decides, hey, we're not going to sell to you anymore, or we're not going to retail to you anymore, it's just like done. And I don't know if you guys know much about how like the sneaker store or sneaker retail works. It's like you get an account with each retailer, and you know, with Nike, it has different tiers of the accounts. So for example, a tier 0 account is like the coveted account, where you can get like very exclusive sneakers to retail. Foot Locker doesn't usually end up with those. So, you know, take that how you will, but like it's gonna hurt. And it's gonna hurt smaller retailers too, because it's gonna hurt Foot Locker the most, because Foot Locker has the most footprint in the United States and overseas as far as like physical retail stores for sneakers and selling Nike. But it's also gonna hurt the smaller boutiques, the small guys that have one store or two stores, because you're just gonna be selling Adidas, Puma, and then what happens when those companies also do the same thing? Now you have no retail business. You know what I'm saying? And there's how can you compete with the commerce if your customers can go to the source? You know, I can just go to Nike.com rather than go to Foot Locker, and it helps Nike not have to worry about competing with their own products on price. A lot of times you go on Nike and Air Force Ones are not on sale. Usually Air Force Ones are never on sale. But the point is, say like they were to reduce the price of Air Force Ones from $100 to $90, but then Foot Locker is reducing that price to $75. There's a clear issue there. So I can see why Nike would want to pull out of this situation. And as far as the stock itself goes, definitely you probably want to get out of Foot Locker. Maybe wait a few days, but probably want to get out of Foot Locker and get into more Nike, because obviously if Foot Locker is something you would buy, you're buying it because it sells Nike. So just buy Nike. You know what I mean? That's what I'm doing. I bought Nike back in 2020 when it was cheap, and now it costs more. All I'm saying is just go to the source, buy the thing instead of the thing that makes them rich. Buy the thing. Like, don't invest in T-Mobile because they sell 100 million iPhones. Invest in Apple because it's their iPhone. Like, that's all I'm saying. Thank you guys for watching. I'll check you guys next time. It's the Drunk Capitalist here. Peace.